in the UK, and more importantly to all of you, I did my PACES last year, so quite recently in the UK. So any questions you guys have about how it works at the moment, particularly if you're thinking about doing it over there, very happy to be approached. Let me just ask any questions. Structure, how it works, how to do well, just ask away. So as I said, the clinical consultation station is your stations 2 and 5. And as I said, this is the only station that tests all 7 of your skills. So you really need to do well in these stations if you want to pass, get a good mark. It's a 20-minute long station. It sounds like a long time, but it really isn't. You only have 15 to take the history and also do the examination. And you're the master of your own time within that frame. So you need to use your time well throughout, beforehand and during, if you want to do well. So in terms of what's likely to come up as well, just initially, what it lends itself to your sort of multi-system disorders, stuff that doesn't fit nicely into the box of one of the other examination stations, stuff that needs a little bit more teasing out, or your undifferentiated symptom. Your shortness of breath, your chest pain, you're just tired all the time, your sort of vaguer things need to be explored in a more systemic manner. That's the sort of thing you'll be thinking about. So when you get but you get a bit more information beforehand, which is good, so you need to use that. So if the setting is meant to be a clinic, you might have a referral letter, you may have some results. If it's meant to be in a more of acute setting, you may just have some results and a sort of brief triage-like history. But when you've got your 5 minutes beforehand, you've got a bit of paper, sit there and make notes. Think about what your differentials might be, think about how you're going to explore those differentials. But as mentioned before, keep flexible, because you don't want to go down, convince yourself it's definitely scleroderma, go down that angle and then end up barking up the wrong tree. You've got those 5 minutes, use them well, then come in. And again, I'm going to be saying a lot of things, I'm going to reiterate a lot of stuff, but you've really got to draw these things through. Introduce yourself, wash your hands, make sure you've got the right patient. All that stuff you would do in real life, but it's easy to forget in an exam situation. You're then going to start taking your history as you would in a real clinical situation. So use what you've got already. Don't just come in and say, why are you here? If you know they've got pain, if you know they've got preferences, open with that. Show that you've read, show that you're engaging with the system. Start with nice open questions. Let them talk for a while. But again, be mindful of time. If they're going on and on and on, use polite cues to get them to focus in more. And then once you've had some nice open questions, as you always would, narrow down further. This is, as I said, they're often multi-system problems. You want to take a sort of your classical surgical sieve, whatever your structured approach is to going through these things. And that's going to give you some more information going forward. Sort of anything can be fair game, but there's stuff that comes up more often than not. We can chat about that later on. Fine. As we've mentioned before, sort of patient dignity and comfort is paramount throughout. And you've got to remember you're sort of acting as if you're in a pretend hospital. So if the patient mentions they're in pain, if they mention they have a symptom that you would do something about at that time, offer to do so. You obviously can't actually give them any painkillers, but you can offer that, and that's really going to show the examiner that you're really mindful of that patient's comfort and how they're going through. As the history is sort of coming to an end, you're happy you've got a bit more further into the zone, you know where you're going, then indicate that you'd like to examine the patient. I can't give you an exact time frame when you're going to want to do this, because it depends on the clinical situation. Some things are very history-led, some things need a bit more from the examination. So what you really do is keep practicing these stations, and then you're going to learn when you naturally want to move over. The important distance with the clinical consultation station compared to other stations is you can keep taking history while you're examining the patient. So while you're doing your examination, if something comes up, you find some scars, you find a stoma, some evidence of a transplant, you can ask about that. They may not give you the most thorough answer that you might want to have. They may have been told to be a bit cagey with the information, but you'll get something from it, and it shows that you're responding to what's in front of you. The thing to say is, in terms of the examinations, it's not as simple as just picking one of the 4 examinations that you might be doing around the exam. You need to perform a targeted examination based on what you found so far. It might be that you end up doing pretty much just a normal cardio exam with a little bit of resp in there and a bit more general, but it might be more generalised. You can also get ophthalmology coming up in this station, so the ophthalmoscope might be there, otolaryngoscope may be there. Don't be put off if they are there. Sometimes they might put them there when there's no reason for them to be there. So don't feel like you have to use everything they give you. They may give you quite a wide selection of tools. You may not use them, that's okay. So obviously you're examining the patient, you're ensuring they're comfortable throughout, you're responding to what you find. When you're happy that you've got your differential diagnosis, you're happy where you're going forward, bring the patient back over to where you were sitting, or if you're still sat in a chair, you then examine their hands, for instance, and then let them know what your plan is going forward. That's a really important bit. But actually before that, what I would say is that's the really key time to then summarise everything you've done. So let the patient know what you found, let the patient know what you're thinking, and where we are at the moment, and then check with them. Check what are their ideas, what's going on, what are their concerns about what it may be. They may have no concerns, may have very specific concerns that you can either confirm or deny at that moment, or say, yes, that's true, we are worried about that, we're going to look into it in more detail. And also another key one is their expectations. So what do they expect to get out of you today? Do they want a solution now? Are they happy to wait for some more tests? Where are they at in their journey at the moment? And the other thing to then say is that then you would then tell them what your plan is going forward. And that's usually going to be, I think it's possibly this or this. Here's some tests we need to do, and we'll see you again in clinic. However, again, act as you would in normal clinical practice. If this patient has a very concerning acute problem, as to what they're obviously really at the time, but from what they're telling you, the need to be admitted from hospital is a possible outcome of this station. So be prepared to do that. Be prepared to say, I think we need to bring you in today. But then also remember some of the practicalities within this made-up world. So, has the patient driven in today? Have they got somebody with them? Can they get home? The diagnosis you may have given them may mean they can't drive home. So you need to make sure that's safe, that they're moving in a safe manner. If they're being admitted today, do they need any help with things socially at home to make sure that works out? A good thing to use is the UK DVLA guidance to see what the rules are around driving for different conditions. You can just say you check them, but if you have them there on top of your head, that looks pretty good as well. And again, so you want to be summarising. Sometimes you've got quite a lot of time and you find you're summarising multiple times for the patient, but the examiner's quite like that. It shows that you're really making sure they understand, that they know what's going forward, and what your plan is. And then once you've done summarised, you'll then have your 5 minutes of questions and answers with the examiner, which will be led by what you've said so far. They'll quiz you, and it starts you normally with a presentation of what you think is happening, what your plan is going forward. When you talk to the patient in that way, keep it jargon free, keep it understandable, make sure they know what you're saying. With the examiners, you can be more formal and go through in more detail what you want to do. It can be quite. It's an interesting station. It's gonna be, you get a lot of interesting stuff in it, and it's the one that feels the most like real life, I would say. So just forget you're in exam for that moment. Act as you would normally in clinical practice, excellently, and do well. As I say, any questions at all about the consultation station?
Any question from your side regarding the BCC table?
Doesn't have to be.
Right. I think we have a discussion during the clinical station. We have a BCC station itself after the tea break.
Thank you all very much.